exactly what we're doing. We are sharing uplifting stories with people that are making Johannesburg and the world a much better place. Now, we're delighted to welcome Anné Pretorius. She's the visionary of, she just gave us a copy. It is really, really phenomenal. She's a visionary behind Memoirs from Your Mother, a do-it-yourself legacy journal designed to help mothers document their life stories for their children and future generations. Inspired by her own mother's handwritten memoir, Anné has created a guided journal that serves as a therapeutic tool for self-discovery and a cherished keepsake for families. Anné, good morning and thanks for joining me.
Hi, good morning, Sam. Good morning to the listeners. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to be here.
What a brilliant idea. Where were you that you decided, or what happened to you that you decided that I want to build a legacy piece for families? Because often the stories of our moms we get in bits and drips. We don't get to spend hours and hours and listening to the journey of your mother's childhood, or how she became the woman. How did she become this powerhouse or this person that you know now? So what was happening?
Yeah, so Sam, it happened so long ago. I was at a flea market. I love flea markets, and I saw this book, similar concept, with questions and answer. The mum must answer the questions, and I bought it for my mum, and I said, Mum, I know you're busy, but if you had time, just see what you can do, and it will be so interesting for me to read it. And I actually forgot about it, and she took 3 years and completed the book, and she gave it to me very formally on her 60th birthday, and it was gaping open with all the photos she added and the little letters. And I must say, sadly, I didn't really truly understand how precious this is until a sudden passing.
Yeah.
And I picked up that book again, and I realized, wow, Mom, if you hadn't been so brave just to write about the everyday part of your life and small stories. I mean, people have so many excuses about why they can't do this concept, why their life is just not spectacular enough, and their great-grandmother, she would have had stories.
Yeah.
And so many excuses. But my mum's book is really she just had a normal life. But for me, that book is very precious. Sam, if I would have brought that book that she did for me so many years ago, you would have felt, this is the most boring book I've ever written, and you wouldn't have been able to go past the first chapter. But
for you, contextually, in terms of who you are as a person, why you think the way you do, how you relate to things, it's because of your mom. And that puts it in frame for you.
Yes, exactly. So then I spoke at a funeral. I spoke about that book quite a lot, and I encouraged people, please, everyone here, start today, write your story. You don't know how precious it would be. And people started phoning me and following up on this book so often, even years after a funeral, that I started to get a bit annoyed. And I was like, guys, really, how difficult is it? Just Google it. And so I sat and I said, I'm going to Google, I'm going to get this book, and I'm going to buy 10 copies, and that's going to be the best gift
that you could give
for all of my friends. And then I couldn't find it. It was out of print, and I even contacted the publishers. They didn't want to print that specific book anymore. And then I couldn't find anything, even, this was in Afrikaans. And so then I said, if nobody's going to do this, I'm going to do this. Then I would I would try to improve a bit on what I saw. Like my mum's book was gaping, so I added the gift, the bag, the book bag that's optional. You can buy extras just to keep everything together.
It's very beautiful.
I added envelopes, sturdy envelopes. You can also add those little letters, those extras you want to add. I added a map, a world map. And in the Afrikaans one, I have a map of South Africa. So on that map, you can then indicate where you've traveled, where you've studied, where you still want to travel to. And how I came upon that idea is I went to Lisbon in Portugal, and when I returned, I was still unpacking some of Mum's boxes, and I came upon a postcard that she'd written that she was in Lisbon, and I never even realized she was there. We had such a good relationship, and I never actually knew this part. And I was like, how precious would it have been for me to sit in that same cathedral, which I was in, and would have known what she had thought about sitting in exactly the same cathedral. So that's where the idea came of the map. And then...
So it's really, it really is based on, and I think this is beautiful, because I think what happens when you develop things coming from one's own lack, one's own need, it becomes personal and you actually understand the journey. Just quickly, as before we continue talking about the book, what was the experience like after your mom's passing? Having been able to still have something so deeply, you know, my mom passed and I got a shirt she used to wear and I could still smell her.
Yeah.
So what was that experience like?
Yes, so precious, so very tender and precious, and to see her handwriting, and even where she'd made mistakes, and even in her way of writing, I could hear her voice. So sometimes many people tell me, oh, I'm starting to forget my mum's voice.
Yeah,
and
it happened to me too.
Yeah, so for me, it's still so real. I think because there's other places where you can see her handwriting, but it's not as precious as she's written it for me, and it's like...
She's taken the time.
She's taken the time.
Knowing that you were going to have access to this for the rest of your life, and your children or other family members.
Exactly.
And I think that's just, it chokes me up, because I know it's such an important piece of who we are that we don't think about. You know, one of the things that I thought about, which you've just talked about now, is we don't realize how little images and pictures we have of our parents until they pass away, or you with your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I really love about this.
Yeah. And we tend to really rely on, WhatsApp and our phones and the photos we have there. But what if something happens to that someday?
Yeah.
And it's just, I encourage people to print it, just some photos, your precious photos. You're like, this is my favorite photo. I love the way I look here. Or this is my favorite photos of us together. And so mums, I've just touched on the excuses they have, and they're so good with making excuses. But the book my mum completed for me is really like a fixed question-answer book, question-answer. And she really was very creative to have an answer for every question there was. But I would feel if it was reversed, and I've got two daughters, and if I had to do the same thing, I would think, I can't remember my first memory as a small kid, and then I would feel stupid, and I would just abandon the project. And that's what I don't want people to do. I want them to, it is a brave thing to do, and it's really a difficult thing to do and to push through. So in the book, I don't have fixed questions like that. I've got open pages.
But it's not designed to be, it's not homework. You're not meant to sit there every day and go and the task is to complete the book. This is a journey.
It's a journey, and that's why in the English book, Memoirs of Your Mother, I've got a separate booklet. So that booklet is your guide. There I guide you and say, think of it as a conversation. Imagine your child asking these questions, and I list the questions and ideas you can think of to approach that kind of a question. And you can choose to write about that topic or not. So at the end, the idea is, before you hand the book over to your child, to remove that booklet from the book, so the child doesn't know what you decided not to write about. She doesn't, or he doesn't know that you've had help. They would just think, my mum is so cool. She just wrote this whole book about her life. And
some of us need help, and there's nothing wrong with admitting it. But some of us need help. And I love. Really, if you haven't seen the quality of this this journal, this kind of family document, it'll eventually become a family document.
Yes.
It'll become part of the family tree. It'll become part of who you are in terms of your history as a person. It is incredibly well crafted. It is beautiful. It is, even the artwork on the cover is when one embarks on a journey like this, right? It was your own experience. And then you decide, okay, there's something here because there seems to be this need. What is, as a mother of two daughters, how has it made you reflect on your own mortality as you put this book together for them? And I don't know if you put a book separately for each one, or one book that they would have to share,
One more excuse. Oh, Anna, I've got 5 children, and what do I do?
And maybe you can answer that question. What do you do when is this DIY legacy journal one item to share, or do you create one for each children? Because you might have a different relationship. As parents, we have unique relationships with our children.
Yes.
I mean, the kind of the umbrella tent is the same. We love you all, we care for you all, but the individualistic relationships with the children are very, very different. So first of all, your own mortality as a mother and putting this together for your children, and then how do we deal with multiple children?
Yeah, so your own mortality, I think it's something we don't think about at all, or not very often. And it's something that you're really struck with, especially with your own mother's passing or someone close to yours passing. It's like the first time you really grasp the idea that I love the quote that says, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So that's kind of like, I think in your 40s, that you start to grasp this concept. So for me, definitely, it was the moment, from her passing that I started to think about my own mortality. And so I'm busy writing that same book and completing a book for each child.
So you're in the process at the moment.
Yes, yeah, and so
what has that been like?
It's really hard. It's really difficult, but it's really. Like Brené Brown also says, we are built for stories. And it's a funny thing that happens when you start to create a small story about something that happens in your life. And it's like it becomes more clear. And it's like Mary Carr says, with memoir writing, the heart is the brain. It's the Geiger counter that you roll over the landscape of your memory to see where on the surface the precious metal starts to shine. It's like things that it's like you're writing about your life, but it's like yourself. You are rediscovering your own life.
Yeah, so, I can imagine.
There's so many research done, clinical, non-clinical studies about the benefits of writing. For the writer, yes, but also for the reader, for your child. And one day your child, I will pass my book that my mum's written for me to my daughters, and they will pass it to their daughters. And how powerful would it be to have a story of your great-grandmother?
Yeah.
To know what she thought about, and also culturally.
And where you come from.
Yes, and to write about how things worked, how the culture was, how the world operated, her world, and to read about it in her handwriting and together with your school handbooks, which you might find boring and cold.
But there's something deeply poetic, deeply about taking pen to paper. There's something that obviously it's easy to go to a laptop, type it out. But there's something about writing, because, obviously if you write in pencil, it's easy to erase. But if you're writing in pen, there's something you've almost got to think about it thoroughly before you even start writing. And as you write, there's a thinking process there. Because in the book, you ask, who am I? And then there's things like our family tree, and then my core. And each of these kind of sections proceed with your own thoughts, whether it's a poem, it's called like Hula Hooped, cross my heart, hope to die, hope seems to be so slippery to me, like our big oak tree, when I'm right at the top, it turns my insides into knots. And I thought that was also like really, really clever moments. Like, why did you think that was important to add?
Yeah, so for each chapter, I wanted to take you back, so you have to really stretch yourself and think back. So
I like that word, stretch yourself.
So start with where you are now. Who am I? Who am I today? What do I like? What don't I like? And why do I think I am like that? And my core, what do I believe? Do I believe? Don't I believe? What is my religion? And why not? And all of those things. And then I go back to, when you were a small child. So the poetry, everything is to guide you, to take you back to that time. So the poem for that when I was a small, big-eyed child is also on a playground, and you can hear the swings squeaking and the dust between your toes. And so, so it's all coloring in that part of your life, and together with the prompts in the book.
I really love it, Anné. It is really, we get to meet really amazing people every week. And I always argue that there are people that think about things that are important to us, but we don't think about them.
Yeah.
And when I came across the story of this memoirs from your mother, immediately it brought up my own challenges that I have with my mom passing 3 years ago, and the things that I wish I had documented, the conversations I wish I had,
Yes.
the insights, the ability to be able to still have access to them today. And I think that is what your mom has left you, that even now you have access to her ideas, her thoughts. And sometimes us that really love our parents, and I know for some people have challenging relationships with their parents.
Definitely.
But I almost think that this could help that too. That this could almost potentially give you insights into that challenge you have with that parent. To say, I don't think I understand you, or I'm trying to understand you. Could we use this tool to be able to bridge that, so I get to understand your decisions, who you are, what happened to you. It might be painful for you to tell me, but it might be easier for you to write it, to document it.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. When you speak about the tender relationships, definitely, I was so amazed. Things that, while I was busy with the project, I never could have imagined that to be possible. And people that I don't even know have contacted me since the release of the book, saying, "And I thank you. We have a difficult, a challenging relationship, but it's like this project has it hasn't healed totally, but it's brought us closer to each other, brought more understanding." And if we could throw another quote on that subject to you, it's the process of hearing a story with a beginning, a middle part, and an ending. That helps the brain to produce the hormone cortisol and oxytocin. And that is a chemical that kickstarts the human's unique ability to connect, to sympathize, and to understand. So you're quite correct that storytelling brings more understanding between two parties.
Another thing that I made some notes. I think the other thing that we have to talk about is, and I alluded to a little bit earlier, the cover, the artwork is mind-blowing. Tell me a little bit about that collaboration with Marie Vermeulen en Breed.
Yes, Marie, she's a well-known South African artist. She's also well-known internationally. So I was so privileged that she agreed to help with original artwork for the cover, but also for each chapter. Starts with the artwork of Marie. It's also available for sale on my website. And
I love that connection. I've always argued that that's where books need to go. So the actual artwork you can purchase on the website.
Yes,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, and the figure that you see there on the cover page. So I love that piece because it's a reflection. You can see it as the mum thinking back on her life. You can see it as the child after the mum's passing, thinking about the mum's life. So it's such a powerful image.
It is very powerful.
Yeah, and the figure herself is Anya. It's Marie's granddaughter. And her mother, Adelaide, also started a business for Adelaide because she has been diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And so she wanted to create a business where Anya can work. She's 13 years old now, but when she's older, a safe place, a happy place where she can work together with other people with disabilities.
Wow, and there's so much meaning behind just purchasing this book. So it's not just even about just documenting one's own life, building that family tree, deeply developing relations within families through this, but also this lasting legacy that you're leaving. You're also working on something else called Memoirs of a Soldier, right?
That's right, yeah. So the Afrikaans version, Memoirs van 'n Soldaat, that's releasing now on the 17th of May.
So is the Afrikaans version coming out, or the English, or both?
Both, but so funding is a bit of an issue, but
funding is always an issue.
But I'm definitely working on an English version as well, Memoirs of a Soldier, and it's so important, especially for war veterans. People who fought in Angola and to write about their stories. And it's really, I think the time is ripe now. There's so many books coming out. And as you say, not everyone are born writers or really have that, thing to tackle a project like actually writing a book. But the children, the grandchildren, they want to know.
They do.
And so I'm very excited about this project. And again, the poetry is from war veterans.
Yeah.
The sketches are from war veterans. So it's really a book for war veterans by war veterans. And
when will that come out? And it will follow the exact same theme.
Exact same thing. And Marie has also produced a cover page for the book, Memoirs of a Soldier. And so the planning is for both books, the Afrikaans and the English, to be available this year. But we are first starting with Afrikaans one.
Maar nou moet ek 'n vraag vra. Ek moet nou 'n vraag. Waar is Memoirs vir 'n pa? Wanneer kry die pa se eie?
Yes.
Wanneer gaan die vaders dit kry?
It's also in process from Memoirs of a Father and Memoirs van jou pa, and that's for October this year.
Oh, so kom idea.
If I can get it right. Yes.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean, because the dads are going. They've
been contacting me.
Yeah, we've got stories. We need to share, our history as well, and. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us, Anné Pretorius, who is the mastermind behind Memoirs from Your Mother, a DIY legacy journal, My Life Story for You, My Child. And the artwork was done by internationally renowned Marie Vermeulen-Breed. It is the publisher's Naledi, but where can people go to get it? Yes,
you can buy the book on Naledi's website, naledi.co.za, or on my website, memoirbooks.co.za, or in any good bookstore.
I love it. Anné Pretorius, thank you very much for coming in and having a chat to us. And I must tell you, this certified 100% absolutely amazing. This is, I think, a game changer for how we interact with our children. I love it, and thank you for thinking about it.
Thank you very much.